Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of UK Boating. I'm here on the banks of the Southern Wey, which as you can see is absolutely stunning, and later on we're going to be learning more about the River Wey in total and the trust that looks after it.
Also in today's show, Rebecca meets the extraordinary crew of Swingbridge 1 and find out how your boat furniture can be given a facelift. But first, we visit Purford Marina on day one of a 38 berth extension project.
Purford Marina has been here since the late 70s, early 80s when it was first developed, and it's connected to the River Wey navigation here at Purford in Surrey. This stretch of the River Wey navigation is what's called a canalised river, which means that it's above the natural level of the water and the surrounding area, which means that the bank of the marina, as the bank of the river, is actually artificially high with sheet piling and bunded sides. The advantage of this is that it's very little flooding happens here because the flooding happens around the river and the navigation as opposed to in the river and navigation. The River Wey navigation is one of the oldest, in fact I think it's the oldest canalised river navigation in England, and you can navigate all the way down to the south end, or up at the top you can join the River Thames at Weybridge. On land locally we're in the middle of Surrey, which means that apart from numerous golf courses and nice sort of county towns and market towns, there's also just up the road the large Royal Horticultural Society gardens at Wisley, which is a huge draw not just locally but nationally. At the moment we have about 172 boats moored in Purford Marina. We do visitor berths for an overnight or a week or a month, but predominantly our moorers are on annual leisure berths here. We can accommodate maximum size narrowboats up to 72. We can also accommodate wide beamers, but there is a height restriction on the River Wey, which means large Dutch barges and the like aren't able to get here. Here at Purford Marina we have all the usual marina facilities. We have excellent toilets and showers, ample car parking, water and electricity available to every berth, diesel, pump out, L-sand disposal, full engineering workshops both for steel work and for mechanical work. But most importantly we have a dry dock, which means that we can take boats in off the river and off the marina and put them into a dry environment for people to black them, repair them, welding, extensions, anodes, propellers, you name it. Yes, we have got exciting plans here at Purford Marina. Due to demand, the place is almost always full. We now have planning permission for a small extension to the marina, which we've literally started on yesterday. This will allow a further 38 or so boats to be moored in an extension basin at the other end of the marina.
We're currently undertaking a marina extension for Tingdean to extend the existing marina, adding another 36 to 40 berths onto the project, giving them probably about, I think it's 3,500 square metres more waterway and berthing positions. It's slightly different to other marinas because it's sort of an above ground construction really. Using the sheet piling method, most marinas are sort of normally cut into basins rather than formed above ground. Well, initially we'll be relocating the service pontoon and forming the access roadways around the perimeter of the new basin. That'll take us a couple of 3 weeks probably. Then we'll start with the sheet piling works. The sheet piling works will be carried out in a systematic manner in order so that they all interlock and are sealed. That's anticipated to take between 3 and 4 weeks. Then we've got the sort of bulk excavation works to dig out the bottom of the basin, which isn't a lot. There's probably 2,000 cube of earthworks to carry out there. All of the earth that's being excavated will then be used in the bunds around the perimeter of the new basin. That'll be finished off with sort of topsoiling and grass seeding, service installations for the new electricity and water supplies, and that'll basically complete the project sort of just up before Christmas. We're hoping that any disruption will be minimal. Working hours will be kept to normal sort of working hours. We're going to try and get the access roadway in as early as we possibly can to maintain access and egress for all of the existing moorers. Yeah, once the construction's complete, there's a stilling test that we have to do to ensure that the marina basin will hold water, and then it's basically filled over a period of time. There's an abstraction licence that's had to be granted by the Environment Agency in order to do this, and we've got a maximum 28-day period in which to fill the basin.
Purford Marina has been very popular for many years, so we're hoping that the extension that we're creating now will allow us to accommodate even more annual boaters as well as visitors, and obviously it will generate more work for the dry dock and the repair section here. Anybody who's interested in acquiring one of the new moorings in the extension basin here at Purford Marina can contact us simply by telephone or via the usual website.
It's prize draw time now, and our friends at Wacky Practicals are giving us 5 brilliantly portable collapsible kettles. This ingenious device packs up to fit into the tiniest of spaces, meaning you never have to go without your favourite brew again. You can enter totally free via the prize draw page at UK-boating.tv. Entries must be received by midnight on Sunday the 6th of November. Good luck!
Well, I'm joined now by Adrian Bird from the River Way Trust. Adrian, a good place to start would be to learn where the River Way runs from and to.
Well, we're standing on the Southern Way, which is one of 2 upstream branches. The Southern Way runs from Haslemere to Tilford, where it's joined by the Northern Way, which rises near Alton, runs through Farnham, and so confluences at Tilford. Downstream of Tilford is the Combined River, which runs through Godalming, through the gap in the North Downs at Guildford, and then on slides past Woking and joins the Thames at Weybridge, so named for obvious reasons. We're actually standing, say, on the banks of the Southern Way between Liphook and Borden. Just behind me is one of the monuments that we restored. We restored it first in about 1987. We had another go at it a couple of years ago because it was wearing out. But that's a water meadow sluice. And it's used to hold up the water in the river. So it used to be a very active river. Now it's just tranquil.
Okay, so who owns the river and runs it now?
That's quite a diverse answer to that. On the Southern Way, as you sort of get into the smaller reaches, then it's in a lot of ownerships. There's garden and there's small farms or leftover farms, pony paddocks, older car, but so it's not very actively managed here. On the Northern Way, then it's more agricultural. There's a bigger fishing interest as well to manage that. As you get further downstream, oddly enough, closer to London, the agricultural holdings get larger. And of course, from Godalming to Weybridge, the National Trust own the navigation elements of it and some of the adjoining land as well.
So can you tell us a little bit more about its past and what uses it had?
Yeah, I obviously know most about the Southern Way, being a little biased, but some of this applies to the rest of it as well. You're standing in Aldercar here, but you need to take most of the trees away in your imagination. Almost all it was agricultural right up to the river, with a few trees. And this particular spot, as on a lot of the Southern Way, some of the Northern Way and some of the lower reaches as well, was formerly a water meadow, which was irrigated from the river. The water was spread around in ditches and then put back onto the grassland and then drained off down into the river. And it was all about getting extra hay. Odd, lot of effort for a funny little river. On that specific point, then our researches tend to show that it was to do with the local iron industry. This edge and down in the Weald was the black country in the 16th and 17th century certainly, so there was a lot of demand for fodder, for draft animals, overwintering stock and so on. So it's quite a hotbed, quite productive, and a lot of milling as well.
Yes, I've read a little bit about the milling. So, and there's still any mills going?
Headley Mill, just a couple of miles downstream from here. I think they still run it occasionally. There's certainly all the machinery is intact and the water's there to drive it. Nothing else certainly on the upper reaches of the way. But we had about 15 mills between Haslemere and Tilford originally.
Okay, and so for those of our viewers that like to cruise and things, are there certain sections of the river that are navigable?
Just downstream from Godalming to Weybridge. Certainly on the navigation. I'm not sure about the actual natural river sections as to whether they have navigation rights or not, but certainly there is navigation on the way navigation. Quite logically, really, isn't it?
And tell us a little bit now about the Riverway Trust and how that comes into it all.
Yes, we were kind of forced into existence. I'm also chairman of a local conservation group, and I was then as well. Back in the early 80s, there was a thing called the Packhorse Bridge, which wasn't a Packhorse Bridge. It turned out to be an aqueduct over the river at Liphook, which was falling down. So we restored it, and then we looked further, decided we'd be territorially aggressive If we went too far downstream as a local conservation group, so we formed the Riverway Trust instead to pontificate, manage where we could, modest interventions, and try and keep some of the archaeology going, to understand what the archaeology was all about and to understand the ecology of the river. So it's quite a broad brush organisation.
Adrian, thank you so much for coming along today and telling us about the Riverway. It really is stunning, and I hope a few more people come and visit it.
Well, it's lovely to get people like you and anyone else into our super stretch of riparian countryside, so more the merrier, within reason. Don't want to wear it out, but it is there to be shared.
Well, that's it for part one, but don't go anywhere, because after the break we're going to be meeting the extraordinary crew from the Surrey Care Trust boat Swingbridge.